get it, I assume, at some discount, and they have special statutory rights to that property. In the process of doing that, they probably have, I don't know where the funding source comes from, but I assume it's either a bond issue or it's some sort of state money, but they're accumulating these properties, and they have funds to improve these properties. So what the Genesse Land Bank is a nonprofit entity operating under the state statute. It's replacing the role of traditional local government in making land use decisions. So what you have to understand is that this special entity has been created to solve our land use problems, but it's also taking away local control. I don't know of any people, I don't know of hardly any people that have gone to a land bank meeting that's talked to a board member and knows what their underlying rules and procedures are. So something called the land bank is controlling how our communities will look 10 years from now. Now, maybe they're an entity, and I think they're an entity that had to be, but we need to keep our eye on them. We need to control our own land use. I think they're too powerful because we're not watching them.
Why?
Because we don't know, we're not educated to. We don't know where they meet. We don't know what their responsibilities are. Right now, we think it's Dan Kildee doing good things, but it's really a corporate entity that's making decisions on what's going to happen to the housing next door to us, and it's going in and buying up City of Flint rundown neighborhoods and sometimes building them up and sometimes being part of the problem. Okay. We have to engage this nonprofit as if it's a unit of government, and I'm for more governmental control over these nonprofits. Their meetings should be posted, their budgets should be posted, they should have public comment periods that have to be summarized and go someplace else for reporting, possibly the governor, but they need more accountability. I think it's a great entity, but it's fraught with danger if we don't keep our eye on it, because I want my elected officials to control my land use in my neighborhood.
Exactly. Henry, what is your thoughts?
Well, Terry gave a good synopsis of what the land bank is, but I must say that the land bank, Terry, is not a nonprofit. It is a governmental authority. It was created by the legislature in 1999. And let me just give you a little background about this. Now, in the old days, about 1996, people would buy up these properties and they would hold them, and the property would continue to go down, but they weren't kept up. They made no repairs. There were no maintenance. And the folks did a survey. Genesee County employed a consultant, and they went out and took a look at how these properties, who owned these properties, and there wasn't so long ago, if you can remember this, Terry, that people in this city complained about all of the dilapidated housing in their home, the dens of iniquity, the places that were just there, in which people held all kind of illicit functions in, and people in this city required that we get rid of these properties, tear them down, rebuild them, and reauthorize them to go back on the tax rolls. But not until 1999, when the legislature met and they created the land bank. And the land bank was, and the county treasurer kind of work hand in hand, and they manage all of the activities relative to the land bank. The land bank has about 6 functions that they serve. They of course, they demolish houses. There are about 9,000 of them under the possession of the land bank right now. They rebuild homes. They sell them to lots to the next door neighbor who has the funding to keep them up and to put them back on the rolls, so they are generating revenue for the city of Flint. Anytime that you see dilapidating homes, it's not generating revenues to carry on the vital services of the city. And not only that, but when you see these dilapidated homes and neighborhoods, they're devaluating the property that's around them. And so when the land bank came out, it seized properties in 2 or 3 ways. One is that it got them through foreclosure, okay? Or number 2, it bought them up. And so what they did, they had this list of homes, and they hold them out of the marketplace so that these homes don't release, don't inflate the area around it. They move them back into the revenue stream based upon when the on-market demand, so that the city then gets an opportunity through tax increment financing to sell these homes to individuals and pay for them and fund them with not only a bond issue, they also floated a $5 million bond, as you know, Terry, and through either fees, that's one source of revenue, another source was through tax increment financing, and thirdly, through the sale of the properties. And this is a revolving fund to fund that. And now the advantage is that people who live within Genesee County can buy these homes. And they can go back on the rolls and provide new revenues for the city of Flint and for Genesee County.
But do the constituents of Genesee County fully understand what the land bank is and how it operates? Because I think that for the most part, maybe the constituents are a bit weary of any body of government that they don't fully understand.
See, Terry really did let out the truth. People don't understand it, and I don't know whether even the county commissioners completely understand what it is that
And I'll just
they created.
point out one thing, is the state of Michigan is a nonprofit, Genesee County is a nonprofit, the city of Flint is a nonprofit, the land bank is a nonprofit. It may be organized by government, but it does not pay taxes. But what it doesn't have is some of the same accountability structures that traditional units of government have. And it doesn't have people conditioned to go to it to say, what are you doing to our town? Well, that's what I meant by that.
Oh, but it is a public authority.
It's a public authority, it's a nonprofit.
Yeah, but they can levy taxes.
And they can levy
taxes, they can distribute money, they can spend money, they can purchase, and all of that stuff. They're a layer of government. That's what they are. And when they brought in what they call the Brownfield Authority, the Brownfield Authority and the land bank are 2 different functions. They function slightly different. The Brownfield Authority takes care of all of the industrial lands in Genesee County that's contaminated, and like the OGM properties around here, to make sure that those lands are regenerated, made sustainable to support other industrial facilities moving into the area. And what they do is they restrict those lands from commercial or residential use.
You know, and I want to thank Henry. I learned something today about the brownfields and the land bank, and thank you for bringing that, Henry. I think that points out the problem. There's probably only 50 people in Genesee County that could have explained that. Most of us don't know what these entities are doing. And maybe shame on us for not finding out.
Well, I heard that there are some incidents where the county commission don't all understand exactly what we're doing, and what has to be done is that
Maybe the county needs an ombudsman.
yeah. What the county has to do is do exactly what you said. Make it known and understood what kind of power and authority that both the landfill has and the Brownfield Authority has, so that it can give more credence and allow much more, allow it to be much more mobile and malleable. But what they don't understand, they tend to cling to and don't let it move in the way that it's supposed to move to be authoritative and accomplish its own goals. But they're holding back the reins on it a little bit. And when they purchased the old Fisher Body building out here, they created a lot of stir, right?
Right.
Because
we didn't understand how we could do that.
Yeah. Sorry, that's it.
Okay.
Nothing else. Thank you.
My commentary is, Actions abroad can't erase racism here at home. Perhaps is it ghosts of the past that looms over the American landscape? Or perhaps it's something else. The painful subjects of human degradation, racial strife, mass unemployment, and in the not-so-distant past of slavery seem to have captured a new audience among the thinkers of the new emerging America. However noble our intentions or unspeakable the crimes that have been and are presently being perpetrated against visitors and citizens of this great nation, we should step ever so gingerly. As Americans look to condemn and scold other sovereign nations about their terrible human rights issues, America needs to look only at her own dismal records. She should accompany every act of condemnation with an almost painful degree of self-reflection and non-denial. Why? Humanitarianism is not something we should be doing as a nation in far-flung parts of the world to absolve us of guilt within our own shores. It is not that we should ignore the plight of other human beings, but as in most things, our effectiveness in solving someone else's problems will come in direct proportion to our experience and skill in having already overcome that problem within our own lives, society, and nation. America must come to grips with the ugly past before she can fully be a partner in the world's sphere. America by far is the best place on earth in which to live, but almost everything she touches has a painful memory of slavery's ugly past attached. But surely, you say, if we Americans have licked anything in slavery, having fought a bloody civil war over it, not necessarily. American slavery was a package deal involving not only the institution of bondage itself, but also the commitment development of a color caste system by which whites would become the privileged by dint of skin tone alone. So deeply embedded did this hierarchy of white skin privilege become that only with the advent of the civil rights movement in the 1960s did our society begin to address its most shameful practice of segregation, jobs, and housing discrimination, and public displays of racial violence. As a society, we have come a long way, but we still have a considerable way to go in eradicating slavery's lingering legacy. This is Ronald Berry Robinson saying, for, in my opinion, stay focused.
And no shoes gonna be. No food on my table, and no shoes gonna be. My children cry for mercy. They got no please call you on. Hard times, hard times seem like it's everything.